3, 2, 1. Welcome into the Scoop podcast. This is a 2022 National Signing Day preview podcast brought to you by Johnny T-Shirt and Blue Shark Vodka. All right, welcome in to the Scoop podcast brought to you by Inside Carolina, Johnny T-Shirt and Blue Shark Vodka. A very special show today. We have the 2022 National Signing Day preview podcast, and I'm your host, Ross Martin. As always, I'm joined by Don Callahan. What's going on, Don?
Busy times. Just don't know what to do with myself. Can't wait until Thursday to when I can relax a little.
There you go. Okay, so we're recording this on Sunday night, and this is a preview podcast. National Signing Day, the early signing period begins on Wednesday morning. So we're recording this now. So keep that in mind as we talk about certain prospects. There's kind of one outstanding recruitment, and we'll get into that at the top of the show. Here's how the preview podcast show is going to go. We're going to talk some general things about this class, get Don's take on a bunch of things, just some general breakdowns of UNC's 2022 class. We're then going to get into superlatives. We have a list of about 9 or 10 different superlatives I've picked for Don to answer about the 2022 class. We're going to have a very special interview with 2022 four-star running back and UNC commitment future signee, George Pettaway. So that's coming right in the middle of the show. And we're going to close with a top 5 listeners submitted top 5 of the top 5 signees commitments from UNC's 2022 class that you're most excited about. And with that will come some discussion from Don and I, kind of breaking down different players and definitely reading what our valued listeners have sent to us. Don, your thoughts?
I am excited. We've been talking about this for a while, so I'm ready to roll.
Let's get a couple things out of the way. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on Inside Carolina. We'll shout out our sponsors more, but Johnny T-Shirt and Blue Shark Vodka, the sign behind me as well. And also, guys, we would definitely want to mention that on Wednesday, myself, Ross Martin, Don Callahan, and our former Inside Carolina intern turned kind of live show producer, John Bowman, are doing a live stream, the second annual Inside Carolina National Signing Day live stream, live from the Man Tower. That's going to begin at 6:45 a.m. on Inside Carolina's YouTube channel. So subscribe to Inside Carolina's YouTube channel. We'll be breaking down National Signing Day for like 3-4 hours that morning, starting at 6:45. We'll probably mention that and talk a little about it again later in the show. Anything to add, Don?
It actually might be a little longer than that, because if we're going to go as long as we have to go, but we could, I guess, go over 11 o'clock. That's roughly about the time we end it. But I'm excited for that. I had a lot of fun with it last time. So what do you think about spending some more time in the Man Tower?
We're all vaccinated, all good to go. It's always a joy being in the Man Tower and to just break down and put a bow on this class, even though you never know what happens in January and February. This December signing day is the main date, and so it's fun to kind of wrap it up, and it's kind of a celebration for those in our business. I know, especially for you, Don, and I used to cover recruiting. It's a big moment, so it's a fun day. So make sure you tune in to those who listen to this podcast, enjoy this podcast. We'll certainly like to check in on the live stream. It's going to go for many hours. Maybe have it on the background at work. Okay, let's get right into it. No more dilly-dallying. Let's pull up the 2022 class. If you're listening at home, pull up the class. We're going to kind of go through it here. Don, when you look at this class, Mac Brown has called it UNC's best. Going to be UNC's best signing class ever in the history of UNC football. When you look at this class top to bottom, what are your general takeaways?
I mean, it's a very good class. It is, according to 247 Sports, their rankings, it's still not better than the 2009 class that Butch Davis signed, but it's definitely the best class that Mac Brown has signed. And the irony of all of this is, and we'll talk about this a bunch on signing day and even in my weekly scoop heading into it, is that this class was not built on in-state prospects, which is what Mac Brown has been basically pitching for a long time. He really couldn't, just because it was such a down year in state. He had to go elsewhere. And so he basically annexed the state of Virginia, made that basically in state, and pulled in most of the top recruits from that state. Really, anybody that North Carolina wanted in the state of Virginia, it got. And that has landed North Carolina with a really highly ranked class. We won't know for certain until a lot of these other recruits that UNC is not involved with make decisions, because that obviously affects where the class will finish. But this should definitely be a top 15 class and will be ranked higher than Mac Brown's prior 2 or prior 3.
For sure. Okay.
I always kind of exclude the 2019 class just because it was, his first class where he didn't get a full cycle with.
Yes. And then looking at the in-state commitments, just pull up some numbers here. UNC, as my computer loads, has 1, 2, 3, 4 players in the top 10 of North Carolina state rankings. So Travis Shaw, Hampton, Malachi Hamrick, who just won a state championship, and Bo Atkinson, who's number 7. So they have 4 of the top 10, and I'm wondering if that's it. Is that it, Don?
Yeah.
And
then that just kind of speaks to just the in-state class just wasn't very good. And still, so it wasn't a situation where Mac Brown didn't get anyone from in-state. He got the best players from in-state.
Mm-hmm.
And then just really the only guy he missed on in-state was Jalen Walker, who committed to Georgia. And everyone else he basically got. But there just wasn't the talent there in-state, and he had to go elsewhere, so he went north.
There you go, to Virginia, and particularly the Tidewater area. I remember those 2 early commitments, Tion Chapman and Tion Holloway. I mean, they committed around Christmas time. One committed on Christmas Day, one committed a couple days before Christmas. So they've been committed for almost over a year now. So yeah, definitely a Virginia flavor in this class. All right, when you look at this class position-wise, did UNC fulfill all the needs they set out to fulfill?
Yes, with the exception of defensive back. And that actually we wanted to give a little bit of a disclaimer that we were going to proceed with this podcast without really talking a whole lot of Will Hardy. And it's not because, we don't want to talk about Will Hardy. It's just because we don't know for certain what he will do on signing day. And we wanted this podcast to be a preview for signing day and to be more of a celebration of what's going to happen on Wednesday. Do you want me to get into Will Hardy real quick so we can get out of the way?
Let's talk about him now. So Will Hardy took an official visit this weekend, and as of recording this at 6:15 p.m. on Wednesday night, Don, the thing to make clear is by the time you're listening to this, maybe if you're listening on a Monday night or maybe Tuesday, something may have changed. Don?
Yes. Yeah, and we didn't want that to affect your listening to this. But we wanted this to be as evergreen as possible, which is impossible to do with recruiting. But anyway, so yes, took his official visit. I spoke to him, what was it? I guess 3 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
Basically enjoyed the official visit, gave him a lot to think about, didn't want to make a knee-jerk reaction or didn't want to have a knee-jerk decision, wanted to allow the high of the official visit to kind of wear off somewhat. Also wanted to give Tony Elliott an opportunity, who's the new head coach at Virginia, an opportunity to give his pitch. And then Will Hardy will make his decision on where he will sign or if he will sign on Wednesday. He intends on signing on Wednesday, but says it's not 100%. But if he does, it will be North Carolina or Virginia. Just like some backstory, he's been committed to UVA since April. North Carolina offered in August. They pushed and pushed and pushed. They were able to get him on campus for a game visit during the season. He then made another visit to UVA and then basically closed the door, kept it open just a crap, but basically closed the door, did not have any intentions of taking an official visit to UNC. But then Bronco Mendenhall shocked everyone and resigned abruptly. And that, of course, led Will Hardy to give North Carolina a clean look with the official visit, and here we are.
Almost like once Bronco Mendenhall stepped down, UNC had the advantage just because of the relationship they had built. So there's a premium article up on Inside Carolina. So if you're listening to this, let's say on Monday morning, Monday afternoon, check out that article. According to Don, he'll make a decision on Wednesday. So we may have some small fireworks coming on the live show for UNC Football Recruiting. Will Hardy, a 3-star safety out of Georgia. Don, his game, we haven't talked about him too much because once he kind of shut things down and it was all in Virginia, we kind of forgot about, kind of put him to the side. What can you tell us about Will Hardy?
Yeah, I mean, he's a coach's son. His dad's the head coach there at Greater Atlanta Christian. He plays wide receiver, plays safety. North Carolina's recruited him as a safety. He's a tall kid, 6'2". He plays smart. He's rangy, that sort of thing. But going back to the original question, was the only position that North Carolina didn't meet its objective with is at defensive back. And even at some positions like linebacker and edge rusher, they end up taking one more than what they intended to. But defensive back, they wanted to take 4. If they secure a commitment and signature from Will Hardy, they will hit 3. The other 2 being Tion Holloway and Marcus Allen. But that was the only position that kind of eluded them for this class. Otherwise, UNC not only hit on every objective, but in many cases hit on their first targets at those objectives.
Yeah, so they have 2 cornerbacks signed or committed, expected to sign, and Holloway and Allen, but Hardy is a safety. And then yeah, that's a great point. I think that kind of leads into the next thing to talk about it. What you really like about this class, and you mentioned it. They went after, I think, especially the top of the class. I mean, the guys they went after and they really pushed for, and their number one target at that spot, they got. You can go down the line. Travis Shaw, defensive lineman, their top target, they got him. Zach Rice, offensive tackle, they got him. Andre Green was by far their top target at wide receiver once Tayshaun Chapman committed. Andre Green was a long-time wide receiver target. He committed. George Pettaway, Hampton, same thing. Their top 2 running back targets they got. And it goes on and on. I mean, they're really high on Malachi Hamrick and Bo Atkinson and Bryson Jennings. Your thoughts on what you really like about this class and what you think UNC did really well?
Yeah, I mean, just what you mentioned is the fact that they like, for example, top target defensive tackle went all in on Travis Shaw, top 10 player in the nation, not in the state definitely in the state North Carolina, but in the nation, and secured his commitment. Had to battle Clemson, had to battle Georgia. Alabama, Ohio State wanted him also, but really wasn't looking at those schools. Same thing with Zach Rice. He was the top target. They didn't necessarily go all in because they wanted to sign a bunch of offensive linemen, which is to be expected considering the position. But they definitely put a lot of effort, a lot of resources into recruiting Zach Rice. And there were times it didn't look all that promising, and they stuck with it and were able to secure his commitment. Andre Green, same thing. I mean, you're battling Clemson, who typically wins those battles or has in the past has won those battles, especially for wide receivers. And North Carolina was able to outlast Clemson, and even were able to fight through a last 11th hour official visit to Clemson, which is huge. So overall, I mean, just hitting on these top guys, and this is not just spin. I mean, who else is better at defensive tackle than Travis Shaw in this nation that North Carolina is recruiting? Same thing with Zach Rice and Andre Green. I mean, these are legitimate top guys that UNC targeted and were able to land.
Yeah, and just going through the class, I mean, some names you mentioned. Jalen Walker was a guy they missed on, a linebacker committed to Georgia. So you look through the class and see which linebackers they end up getting. They definitely missed on some quarterback targets early on, and ended up settling on Conor Hale, who they like out of Alabama, who's been a super productive high school prospect. And so, yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, it seems like they hit on a lot of their main targets and plucked the best players out of North Carolina, and then definitely plucked the best players out of the state of Virginia.
The other thing I want to, before we move on, because I'm sure we want to get to the superlatives, is the fact that, we've talked a bunch about Travis Shaw, Zach Rice, Andre Green, George Pettaway for good reason. But there are guys later on this list, like Justin Kanyuk, who I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to spell it. Let me say it. Offensive lineman from Pennsylvania. I think UNC got a steal. He's a mid 3-star guy, but has some good potential and could actually end up being a good center for North Carolina. That's what they're hoping that he turns out to. Deuce Caldwell, he doesn't have the measurables. And Clemson loved this kid, but decided to go in a different direction, did not offer him. But I mean, he was a guy that I think is just a player, and just didn't have, the size and the speed that you typically want, but just makes plays. You mentioned Conor Hale, a kid who led the top team in the state of Alabama to back-to-back state championships. A loaded team, but still he was the quarterback of that team. Bryson Jennings, I feel like, is super underrated. I mean, he's a high 3-star guy, but I mean, to me, if he would have got out there and people would have seen him in person, I mean, he looks like an NFL defensive end. He really does. And just moves so well, so smart. Another coach's son, Bo Atkinson, another kid, and we talked about him a bunch of prior podcasts of just how he basically formed himself into an unbelievable edge rusher, through work and taking advantage of COVID. Marcus Allen. I mean, I know I'm just looking at these guys and I'm like, man, I need to really mention these guys because it's just, Marcus Allen, it could be a huge steal, and he's not going to make any of my, I get asked, I'm going to get asked for some of your superlatives, just, who's a sleeper, who's the underrated guy, all that sort of stuff. And he's not a guy I'm going to mention just because there's other guys who are ranked lower, and he's a 4-star guy on 24/7 Sports, but he might end up being just unbelievable player and turning out to be like a high draft pick for North Carolina, just because he has the experience, he has the coaching, he has the size. He's a legit 6'2" and he's long. So, I mean, Malachi Hamrick, who I think is going to need to add some weight, but super explosive. I was just at a state championship game on Saturday. You mentioned it. Just unbelievably explosive. He played against a run-first team, but still was able to get a sack. Tion Holloway, another guy who I feel like is underrated, even though he's a 4-star guy, another guy who could potentially develop into a high draft pick just because of his tools. And he's a guy who just didn't want to mess with the whole recruiting process. And I think that benefited North Carolina as far as recruiting him, because he basically shut it down, didn't want to deal with it, found his place. But I think other schools really, if they would have laid their eyes on him, got to see him in camp settings and that sort of thing, that he would have blown up. So it's just up and down. I mean, I know I'm not mentioning everybody. It's not that I don't feel that they're good players. It's just really up and down. This is a really good class.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't talked about Chapman and Holloway that much because they committed so long ago. We mentioned, it's the third time we mentioned on the podcast, but those guys are studs. And I think you just went through the whole kind of bottom half of UNC's 2022 class. There's a lot of guys that you like, a lot of winners, and a lot of people that fill positions of need, maybe a little underlooked, under-recruited, that they found that could be diamonds in the rough. Okay. Any concerns with this class? Any issues you think? Any things other than the not getting a defensive back, a safety? That was just one of the questions I had.
I don't think so. You mentioned the quarterback position, and yes, they had to go to, lower guys on their board. But the problem North Carolina faced is you had Sam Howell, and at that point, no one knew if he was going to come back. But in addition to that, you had Drake May and Jacoby Creswell, who had a lot of buzz, were highly ranked guys. So it was really difficult to recruit quarterbacks who wanted to come in. And basically, I mean, you're going to be behind the 8 ball a little bit, competing with those guys, even if Sam leaves. And actually, it'd probably be better if Sam stayed for a year for you to kind of, get your footing a little bit. But yeah, so that made it difficult. But yeah, I mean, it's just hard to say. Maybe you want to get some more offensive linemen.
Yeah, one question I had.
Ranked one.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because I mean, you have Zach Rice, but then you have Travion Green and Justin Kanyuk, who aren't as highly ranked, and a lot of question marks with those guys from a lot of different standpoints. But so an offensive line has been a problem from UNC, and really you can have the best offensive lineman in the nation, but if the 4 other guys aren't very good, you're not going to have a good offensive line. So you really need to get a lot of good offensive linemen.
Yeah, and one thing I was going to mention and have a question about, they only have one defensive lineman committed who's going to sign, Travis Shaw. He's a stud in the middle. But you have, I think, 3 long, kind of big-bodied edge rushers in Bo Atkinson, Malachi Hamrick, and Bryson Jennings. Any of those guys you think could bulk up and play on the defensive line, or are they those outside linebacker edge guys?
It would not surprise me, particularly with Bryson Jennings. It would not surprise me to see either him or it's harder to see with Malachi Hamrick because he's like 205 now, if that. But with Bryson Jennings or even Bo Atkinson, for them adding weight, but definitely with Bryson Jennings adding weight and playing that 4 technique. But the reason why 4 technique wasn't a huge problem 2 reasons. One, you're recruiting guys like Bryson Jennings and Bo Atkinson who could potentially grow in the position. But 2, you look back at the prior 2 classes and all the 4 techniques that UNC signed. So it wasn't a huge need for this class.
Gotcha. Good stuff there. They like recruiting a faster person with the frame and then put weight on them and move them up. They do that a lot at safety, move them to linebacker. So you see that a lot from the edge rusher to one of the down defensive linemen. Okay, let's get some live reads here for the podcast before we get into our 2022 signing class superlatives. We'll talk to you about Blue Shark Vodka. They've been a sponsor for this podcast and for the post-game live show all season. Blue Shark Vodka, we partnered with them, the smoothest vodka in the world, made from Carolina sweet corn, made a local company in Wrightsville, North Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina, a local handcrafted vodka company. Always want to support local companies. So check out Blue Shark Vodka. Very approachable price, accessible price, and available in all 100 counties. So check out your local ABC store and get Blue Shark Vodka. Great for some Christmas cocktails, some holiday cocktails, of course, for all your different summery drinks. Blue Shark Vodka and Johnny T-shirt, johnnytshirt.com. Guys, it's countdown time for Christmas. Use the Inside Carolina promo code for all subscribers. Get 10% off your orders. johnnytshirt.com and on Franklin Street at Johnny T-shirt. Tons of sales, tons of deals. Get sweatshirts, gifts. I'm going to have to go by there and get some stuff for my nieces and nephews. Easy way to get your Christmas shopping done. Jerseys, sweatshirts, shirts, T-shirts, little trinkets and gifts. Easy stocking stuffers. So head to johnnytshirt.com. Great customer service. Again, a local company has been partnered with Inside Carolina for many, many years now. So johnnytshirt.com. If you're going to get UNC stuff, check them out online or on Franklin Street. And don't forget to use that promo code. All right, Don, superlatives. We'll do some national ads later in the show. Superlatives, here we go. Drum roll, please. We're going to go through superlatives here. A quick answer. A couple lines of analysis and conversation, and we'll move to the next one. Okay, Don?
All right.
Don has his class picked up, his class pulled up here. All right. Who do you think out of this class, UNC's 2022 class, is going to be the highest NFL draft pick?
That one is actually difficult. I went with Travis Shaw just because he's a big defensive tackle who moves like exactly what NFL defensive linemen move like. You know, I remember Dexter Lawrence. And that's similarly, Shaw is probably bigger, but yeah. So I mean that's my pick.
There you go, Travis Shaw is 6'5", 330 plus, out of Grimsley High School in Greensboro. Okay, the most athletic player in this class. Think about explosion. Think about quickness. Think about lateral movement and speed.
Yeah. So when I was looking at this superlative, I was trying to find someone who may be like a multi-sport guy. That's the one thing this class doesn't have, which is surprising because that's usually something that usually have a couple guys who are, multi-sport standouts. I went with Andre Green because even though he does excel at basketball, but it's not like this huge, he's not being recruited or anything like that. But obviously, unbelievable talent, great ball skills, great leaping ability. I've seen a little bit of his basketball highlights. I'd love to see a little bit more because of I imagine he's a lot of fun to watch on the hardwood also. All
right, great. Andre Green, most athletic. Okay, get to a couple fun ones here. Mix them up. Best personality. And remember, the one after that is going to be similar, so pick wisely here. Best personality.
So this wasn't easy for me. I don't think there's a guy who just jumps out. And I kind of stole this idea from when I was talking to George, and George will mention this in the in an interview we did with him. Deuce Caldwell. Every time I've interviewed him, he's been great. He hasn't showed me the funny side, so that's why I didn't throw him into the most funny category, which is the next one. But definitely good personality, fun guy to talk to.
All right, Deuce Caldwell, a linebacker for UNC. All right, funniest guy in the class.
I'm going to go Travis Shaw. And the thing with him that I love is that this is a guy who I've followed since he was a freshman. So I've really kind of seen him grow and mature and definitely just absorb some of this attention he's getting. But fun guy. You can see a little bit in his tweets. When I interview him, always kind of out there having fun. His teammates love him. He's always goofing around, that sort of thing. But, he takes the thing seriously for sure. But always enjoyed my interviews with him. My best interviews with him are just when we kind of just sit down. I put the recorder on, and then we just kind of just talk. And you can have a lot of fun with him.
Yeah, no lack of confidence with him either. Definitely a big personality. And gets the most funniest by the Don Callahan superlative. Okay, best interview.
So you're going to see this next. George Pettaway.
Ooh,
this is a kid who super smart kid, very sharp. The thing too is for me, I interview guys a little bit differently than some of the other. I won't say most, but like a good chunk of other reporters will kind of fluff it up a little bit. I try to get to the point, get the information. George did not want to show his cards at all, and he was very, very smart about it. So I always kind of love that little like, mental games with him a little bit prior to his actual commitment. But super smart kid, very introspective. I feel like I'm talking to an adult, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, great kid to talk to.
A little preview there for our interview coming up next, the George Pettaway interview. Okay. All right. Another kind of weird one. The weirdest, strangest recruitment. I think a lot of subscribers could kind of answer this one as well as we look to the class. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're going to say either.
Well, I was wondering if I can go off the commitment list for this one, because I feel like by far it was Benji Gosnell.
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. But I mean, let's give one that's on the list too. Why Benji Gosnell?
Well, Benji was just so weird because, he committed to Ohio State sight unseen. Then, and prior to that, it felt like he was going to end up at North Carolina because of his connection to the school. His brother and then his family members are season ticket holders. He decommits from decommits from Ohio State, towards the end of the summer, which was awful timing. Seemed like maybe North Carolina, then it kind of seemed like Virginia Tech for the longest time. Then UNC got back into it late in the fall. Seemed like it was going to be UNC in a matter of like a week. It all of a sudden just completely flipped, and it was Virginia Tech. And yeah, it was just so weird. Great kid though. I loved it. I really loved talking to him. I know he got a bad rep on the message boards, but just a really good kid to talk to.
Okay, great. Anybody from this class? I mean, I would say, first of all, UNC doesn't have any decommit. No one decommitted from this class, and that's a pretty Mac Brown's classes. You rarely see any decommitments, which I think is kind of how they recruit and how they hand select people and things like that. Of all the commitments, I would say maybe Zach Rice's kind of had the most kind of weirdest ebbs and flows. And how it came down to 5 schools. It came down to 2 schools, and he just his recruitment kind of it wasn't necessarily weird, but it was definitely like a roller coaster.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think there's a couple different. You could look at like Travion Green, who actually was originally a 2021 recruit. He reclassified, tried to lose some weight. As soon as North Carolina gave him the green light to commit, once he got his body in order, he committed immediately. So that's somewhat weird, I guess. But yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, all these guys, pretty, they focused on UNC. They stuck with UNC. There wasn't much drama, which makes that question hard to answer. Okay, moving on. All right, most underrated player. So the player maybe outside the top 200 or so, you think is going to be the best top player in college, or have the biggest impact?
So I kind of gave this away a little bit earlier. I'm going to go with the lowest ranked kid in this class, which is Justin Kanyuk. I think that he has great size. The coaches rave about what they saw from him in camp, in the camp setting. He did it in one of those individual camps. I think his film's really good. He mentioned, we actually ran a story. If you haven't read it, make sure you read it, from, I think we posted it last week, or maybe it was the week before, where he talks about making the transition to center, which for UNC fans should be music to their ears. So he could potentially, that could be his I guess, role for North Carolina in a couple of years.
Yeah, I thought you might say someone like Bryson Jennings or Marcus Allen, but you want Justin Kanyuk.
All right. I mean, I said it earlier. I mean, there's so many of these guys. I mean, Marcus Allen, Bryson Jennings, super underrated. Even though one of them is a 4-star.
Yeah.
Tion Holloway, 4-star. I feel like underrated.
For sure. Okay. Most immediate impact. By this, I mean the player who you think can make an impact as a freshman.
Yeah.
And
so
make the biggest impact as a freshman.
Yeah. So I think you got to look at the position, because certain positions lend itself to early playing time for freshmen. And then I think you got to look at opportunity, and you got to look at skill. And then as a bonus, if they're enrolling early, you got to give that bonus to them. And I'm going with George Pettaway, the running back position, losing Ty Chandler. I know that British Brooks, is he British?
Like, where is he from?
Is he from Britain?
He's from
England?
Gastonia.
Gastonia. Okay. Is that close?
No.
No. Okay.
Is this some bit you have?
I feel like every time I see on Twitter, you're posting that. Anyway, now let's. Oh yeah, so plenty of opportunity for George. He's arriving early. He's a super hard worker. We'll get into him more during his interview, but yeah, I feel like he has a great opportunity to immediately impact the team.
Yeah, you got to think I think George Pettaway, Amar in Hampton, or I think Andre Green has an opportunity as well to make an impact. That kind of receiver, and they're going to need receivers next year as well. But running back is definitely an easy and clear answer. Okay, the toughest player. Who in this class do you think is the toughest?
I'm going Travis Shaw, mostly because
Really?
I was his coaches with that state championship. Not they didn't make the state championship this year, but during his junior year, the injury that basically held him out of most of his senior season supposedly was super painful. And I think actually, yeah, one of the coaches gave the story in the weekly scoop that we posted right after Travis had announced his commitment to North Carolina, just about how much pain he was in. He wouldn't even take his shoulder pads off because he was afraid that the trainer would look at it and tell him he couldn't play. Supposedly just tremendous pain, but played through the entire state championship and gave your Grimsley Whirlies a state championship in football.
That's right. All right, Travis Shaw, third time he has been mentioned on the superlatives. All right, best future leader, best guy you think will be a leader for the Tar Heels.
I'm going to go George Pettaway again. I just think he's just, and you'll see it in the interview. He's just a natural leader, smart kid, quick on his feet,
Mature.
and yeah, mature. He's driven, what else do you want from a leader?
There you go. All right, who do you think in this class will have the best college career? Not necessarily pro career, but best college career and best impact as Tar Heel.
So many guys I can go with, but I'm going to go with Andre Green. Maybe he plays as a freshman. It's definitely possible. He's that talented. I think he's going to need some time to adjust because there's definitely a big jump up from high school to college, particularly for him. Virginia private school leagues, they definitely have talent there, but I think it's a little bit of a drop compared to some other leagues. So, but forgive me, Mr. Green, I know you're listening, but I think when all is said and done, he's going to be an unbelievable player for North Carolina. I could see a 3-year starter just putting up, all these receiving records that seem to be broken every year. I think Andre Green is going to break again. All
right, and the final one. Which one of these recruit signees would you most want to date your daughter?
None of them. And there's nothing against, these are all these great kids who I've gotten to know throughout the time, but there's nothing, as I'm sure you probably have picked up from listening to this podcast, there is nothing more close to my heart than my daughter, and so I don't trust her with anyone but myself.
Jeez Louise. All right, we'll leave it there. All right, a lot of Andre Green, a lot of Pettaway, a lot of Travis Shaw, and a lot of recruits that didn't get mentioned. We haven't even mentioned Sebastian Cheeks once in this podcast, so I'll just go ahead and say his name in case his parents are listening. Okay, good stuff. All right, guys, next up is the George Pettaway interview. Let's get some national ads in there, and we'll be right back with George Pettaway. Scoop this special National Signing Day podcast with a very special guest. Now we're bringing on 2022 UNC commitment future signee running back George Pettaway. What's up, George? How's it going, man?
It's going good. Can't complain. Getting ready. I'm saying? I'm in school right now, but signing day is right around the corner, and just getting ready for it.
All right, we're going to send it to Don to kick off this interview.
Yeah, so George, the last time I saw you was actually kind of a surprise. I was covering Andre Green's announcement. And I get a tap on the shoulder, and it's George, who what was about like a hour and a half drive for you to get out to Richmond?
Hour and 15, hour and 30 minutes.
Okay, so why was it important for you to be there? Because I think it kind of speaks to just the friendship among you guys from Virginia. So tell me, what made you want to go out there for that announcement?
100%. I had training earlier that day, and I had nothing else planned. And he told me where he was going beforehand. And I was like, I'm gonna make it just to love the love and the family atmosphere of the whole recruitment class that we have, and then UNC as a whole, making it down there wasn't a problem, and then just showing love and support for him. I know he'd do the same for me if he didn't have a game or whatnot, but it was good vibes.
So is this, because there are a lot of guys from Virginia, particularly that 757 area where you're from, with Lil Doc and with Tion Holloway, and obviously Zach, who's on the other side of the state. What's it like with you guys, with you Virginia guys?
We're all close. I mean, I guess we're the most talked about when it comes to football in the 757. But really, like, I seen Tion play last week. Like, we all just support each other and show love. Doc is now working out with me with Giovanni Ruffin. So really, us guys kind of just stay together. We might not see each other every day, but you know what I'm saying, there's definitely love and support there. And going to the same school is almost like a dream.
Who is Doc, Don?
Oh, Tyshawn Chapman. Okay, my fault.
Yeah, that's his nickname. They call him Doc. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know, so I'm not sure many of our listeners would know either. So you talked about how close the Virginia players are. What is it like with the whole recruiting class? Do y'all have a group chat? How do y'all communicate? What's that been like?
100%. Well, I mean, we're almost in that group chat almost every other day, if not every day. Just talking about different things, life, school sometimes. You know what I'm saying? The people that's early enrolling, we talk about how it's going to be, who we rooming with, different things. But now, ever since the summer, like when we all knew like who was going to be committing and all, we've been had a group chat and we just been communicate ever since.
Were you added before you committed?
I was definitely added before I committed. I was probably added, I think it was after the cookout in July.
Okay. And so, like, was Andre Green in it? Were other commits that hadn't committed were in there, like Zach Rice, Andre Green, you? I
think it was me. It was pretty much all the recruits, but I think Zach Rice got added just a little bit after.
Okay.
He dropped his top 5 or something like that, then he got added in there.
Okay, and a lot of people on message boards at Inside Carolina ask about this TikTok video that you were on, and it seemed, I think everybody that was in the video ended up committing to UNC. I think Tony Grimes was on the video too, so there were a player or two on there as well. What happened with that video? What was it about? And like, there's like some mystery and some intrigue about everybody on that video ended up committing. It was like all the big names from Virginia and North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, at first we didn't really think anything of it, but we was just chilling at the cookout, and we had just played like a little baseball game or whatever, and it was like, bro, let's make a TikTok. And it was all of us VA guys just sitting there, and then we didn't know which one to make because we can't really dance, so we was just walking through in a line, and then it kind of just played out, and we posted it, and then I think Zach Rice said, "What if?" And then, you know what I'm saying, 4 months later, it actually happened. So it's pretty cool. But I mean, we all know each other. It's all love, and we coming to work.
And I think Travis Shaw was at the very end of that too. So it was a couple of North Carolina guys as well.
Yeah.
Ross probably doesn't understand the whole TikTok thing. I have high school kids, so every time they get like 5 minutes free, they're filming some sort of TikTok, which I don't get it. But hey, that's your guys' thing, so that's fine. I wanted to move on to you as a player, and we could talk about your speed, your agility, your receiving ability, all that sort of stuff. But people who listen to this podcast know I'm a huge fan of your approach. In particular, despite the fact that you put up huge numbers, video game numbers in every game you play in, you're highly ranked, you're a 4-star guy and ranked very, very high. You have this chip on your shoulder. Yeah. Why is that? Because it's so easy for a guy like you to just kind of be, have a big head, but you still, it almost feels like you feel like you haven't gotten any sort of credit yet.
Yeah, 100%. I think I get it from my dad for sure. Just growing up, I just always being around him. He worked a lot. Just where he's from. I'm not gonna get into all that, but where he's from, you know what I'm saying, that definitely rubbed off on me. But probably 2 years ago, because I was always a hard worker. I was a hard worker in basketball too. I used to get shots up and all that. But 2 years ago, I was working out with Giovanni Ruffin, and you know what I'm saying, I had a trainer before, and I was doing fine. It really wasn't no problems or nothing. But when I got to Giovanni Ruffin, like, I was working out with probably 6 guys. Tony Grimes was one of those guys, linebacker. And then there was some people that wasn't committed, wasn't ranked, wasn't anything. And I was working out and I was throwing up. And I was like throwing up bad and I couldn't make it through the workout. I came back the next day and it was kind of the same thing. And I'm looking at guys next to me, not ranked, no commitment, no stars, and they're making it through fine. And, you know what I'm saying, I just had to talk with myself, talk with God, and kind of just like, if I really want to do this, like, I I got to work harder and I got to be better. It's not about the stats. It's not about, you know what I'm saying, how many numbers I'm putting up. It's kind of about the mindset, how you approach it. And ever since like that mindset, working with Giovanni Ruffin, even like by myself eating, just staying consistent on top of my stuff, that translated into my grades as well. But really, I feel like you said, it's the way I approach the game and how I approach pretty much everything I do. Just never being satisfied and always staying consistent.
Now, I want to go to your recruitment, and you basically, for everybody, their recruitment truly started this past summer because of COVID. You know, you couldn't make any visits, although you did go to a game or two at North Carolina. So what was your mentality heading into June, and what schools were you truly considering at that point?
I was truly considering UNC. I was truly considering Penn State, Florida, Oregon. I was really truly considering. I just could never get up there. Just bad timing. And then other than that, I would probably say UVA because they're close to home. And then another one was Ole Miss. The relationships I had with Ole Miss was good. I just could never visit because of the 4-week window we had to visit. But I would say it would probably take longer for me to make that decision if I had more time to visit all these schools. Like there was no COVID and stuff like that. But I mean, everything happened for a reason, so it worked out.
What ended up drawing you to UNC? What was the process that had you leaning towards UNC through the summer, ultimately to your decision?
So before like I think it was before that June. Wait, am I getting this right? You talking about this past June, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, basically, like I always say, the family atmosphere. But I visited a whole bunch of times. I had went to games. I had seen it, and that's the only place I could go because I was close with Tony Grimes' dad and all that stuff, and I could get tickets. But I mean, I had seen it so much, and it just felt like home. That's pretty much really all I can say. Like I seen them way more than everybody else, but I really liked what I saw.
When did North Carolina become the team to beat for you?
North Carolina became the team to beat when, pretty sure it was when I took my unofficial visit in June.
Okay, that weekend long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I had seen it, so I had seen it a lot, but really diving into the academics, the nutrition, the weight room, pretty much seeing all the good facts I need to see. That was when it became team to beat. And it was my first visit. So.
What about the offense intrigued you and the impact of how they use running backs that you like about UNC?
Yeah. Coach Mac Brown, he likes to run the ball. He likes to get his playmakers and running backs involved. And, you know what I'm saying, just seeing right in front of your eyes what Michael Carter and Javonte Williams was doing was special to see. I'm sitting there at the game and envisioning myself doing those exact same things. And then what Ty Chandler has done as well this year and the other backs. But really, you know what I'm saying, I see it. And I talked to Coach Phil Longo and then Coach Mac Brown and then even the new running back coach, Larry Porter. We talk about different things we're going to do. So.
Yeah, this goes back to kind of earlier talking about your game, but what do you think you do bring to the offense? There's always different kinds of running backs. What do you think you're strongest at? How do you think they're going to use you? How do you see yourself kind of fitting in?
I feel like my strongest suit is definitely my one-cut speed and my vision. And just I'm going to bring a versatility to the offense where you can use me in different scenarios. When I'm back there, you know what I'm saying, it's not going to just be a run. Back there, I'm not going to just be pass blocking. I'm going to be able to get involved in different ways to help this team win and produce on offense. And I feel like that's why they like me so much. Yeah,
and you're an early enrollee, right?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, what do you think you have a chance to impact the team as a freshman? Is that kind of what you're envisioning? Getting there in January, go through all the practice, and then have a chance to be a big time impact in the fall?
100%. I mean, everybody knows, just close to me, I'm coming in to work. It's as simple as that. I'm just got to stay consistent, and you know what I'm saying, I got to do my part.
Yeah, there's certainly opportunity to you with Chandler graduating, just a couple other names, but no one's really as experienced. You know, DJ Jones is up there too, so definitely an opportunity for someone like you to come in and get some reps. Don?
Yes, along those lines, what has North Carolina, whether it's Coach Longo, Coach Mac Brown, or Coach Porter, what have they said just what the game plan is and how you kind of fit within that game plan heading into the spring?
Really just teaching me the little things about the offense. One thing Coach Porter talks about a lot is pass blocking. That's just not his number one key. Other than, you know what I'm saying, making sure that ball is high and tight, but pass blocking, and then as well as understanding the offense and coming in. Obviously, I got to put on some weight. I'm at like 190 right now. They definitely want me to get up, probably like 205 or something like that. But you know what I'm saying, that game plan is pretty much learning as much as I can and going into that spring game and applying what I know.
All right, we'll get out here with a couple other questions. I want to get back to that group chat. Tell us about some personalities in this class. You know, we know about their game. We know how talented everybody is. We know the ranking. Who in that group chat, who in the signing class is the big personalities, the funniest guy, all that kind of stuff?
The funniest guy is definitely Deuce Caldwell.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure if you ask anybody in the group chat, they're gonna say him. He's the one, like, he'll make TikToks like every other day and send it in there. But yeah, he's definitely the funniest in there. He talks probably the most. Everybody else, I feel like, is just chill. Like if it's like a topic, like we'll all be talking, but everybody really has good vibes. And I pretty much met everybody in person as well. So
what's Travis Shaw like in there?
Travis Shaw, he's chill. He's chill at times. He's MIA at times, and then he'll be talking about it at times.
He seems like a big personality.
Yeah, no, definitely a big personality.
He definitely goes MIA sometimes. I know that. Yeah.
100%.
Don, did you know about Deuce Caldwell being the funniest guy?
I didn't. You know, sometimes because in the last class, Dontavius Nash, we heard the same thing where he was like this, clown. But when I've dealt with Deuce and also Dontavius, it's always been very, yes or no, sir, answering the questions exactly, but not every guy. I feel like George is pretty much the same no matter what,
Yeah,
but
I feel my personality probably shows the more I get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, but at first it's kind of just I kind of like to peep everything first.
Yeah.
Also, I noticed you weren't very like during your recruitment, like you weren't tweeting a lot or putting a lot of stuff on Instagram. You kept it very low key. It seems like you're just very focused on kind of what's ahead of you. Is that kind of how you approached it? Was that kind of something you did intentionally, or is that kind of just who you are?
Yeah, I use social media, kind of promote myself. But I know once I get there, it's kind of be like kind of just low key, and then like y'all know I'm gonna be working, but you probably won't really see it and stuff like that.
If I remember correctly, like wasn't there like they did a video like a mini documentary on you, and I think it was your mom who said you were an old soul. Is that you, or I'm thinking about somebody else?
I don't know if she said this, but I definitely had a documentary and she was in it. I don't remember what she.
I think that's what she said, and it makes complete sense to me because, like, here's the thing. So when I deal with George, I don't text him like I text other kids or DM them. Like a lot of other kids, you DM them or text them, they get back to you right away. But if I call George right away, he will answer his phone every single time, which is something that you get from adults. So and you are very mature and I deal with high schoolers all the time. You are very mature for high schoolers, so I can see the whole old soul sort of thing with you, which is kind of cool.
Definitely, like I was like that with the college coaches as well. Like college coaches would try to text me all day, and then I would call, and it's like they don't know how to talk, and it would just be a turn. I remember one time I was talking to Miami, and I was texting the coach. And it was like something funny, right? So then I had called him. It was probably like 20 minutes later I called him, and I was like referring to what we was talking about, and he didn't even know what we was talking about. Like I don't even think it was him texting me.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it was like that's why I just always just like talking to coaches. Definitely if I'm closer to my FaceTime and stuff like that. But
yeah, you definitely seem very mature for a high school senior. I wish I was as mature as you at that age. Okay, so and finally, you're coming in with Amarion Hampton, another really good running back. You're ranked. You're a top 4-star, number 107 in the country. He's 148. 2 stud running backs. What's it like? Have y'all talked about kind of coming in and working together and being having kind of that thunder and lightning type
100%.
running back duo?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that 1-2 combo, if we do what we're supposed to do and we take care of little things, it could be very, very special. And we talked about it, you know what I'm saying, just really coming in and going to work. But yeah, that 1-2 combo with, you know what I'm saying, how fast and how powerful he is and versatile and stuff like that, it could be really scary.
All right, Don, you got anything else?
No, that's it. I really appreciate George coming on the podcast with us, and his help all the time doing interviews and all that sort of stuff. So thanks, George, for being on.
Yes, sir. No doubt. Appreciate y'all.
Yep, thanks, and good luck on signing day. And I look forward to covering you at UNC, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right,
we'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.
All right, and we'll be right back to finish up this podcast. Is that how you want to do it, Don?
It's up to you. Do you want to go with our thoughts now, or
yeah? Let's go ahead and get into our thoughts now. We just wrapped up that interview, and we're actually recording this a little bit ahead of time of recording this full podcast that will be released ahead of signing day. Yeah, George Pettaway. I mean, I'd never talked to the guy before. I've probably seen some video, and I think he did his commitment on CBS HQ, but super mature guy, all business. I mean, I think UNC fans have to be super excited about his approach and what he's going to bring once he gets to UNC. Yeah,
I mean, as I said, super mature kid. I've talked plenty of times about just unbelievable work ethic. Unbelievable, and I mentioned this talking to him, just that chip on his shoulder, which I don't think you saw too much here, but when you in drills and just kind of talking to him in person, and just he has tunnel vision. I mean, he's definitely the type of kid who should succeed in college.
Yeah, and I mean, I've talked plenty of times about his tape and just how electric he is. So I think it's a great addition. I think outside of the stud Travis Shaw and maybe Zach Rice, I think getting those two running backs was critical for what UNC needed. You saw at times how the offense struggled without a really star running back early in the season until Ty Chandler found his footing. So getting Hampton and Pettaway and letting them go after and compete, I think UNC's running back room is going to be set for the next couple of years. Pettaway is great. I don't think there's not much else to add.
No, I don't. Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you said. 4-star guy, definitely a guy who makes plays. You can see it on his film. A receiving threat out of the backfield, can line up in the slot if you need it. He's going to kill you with vision. He's going to kill you with his elusiveness. I mean, just a great player to add to an offense.
Great. All right, we're going to be right back. We're going to wrap up this National Sign Day preview podcast with our top five. That's going to be top five players in the 2022 class you're most excited about. So we'll be back with that. Stay tuned as we wrap up this version of the Scoop podcast. All right, and welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that Pettaway interview. I think we already talked about the interview in the podcast. But let's get right into our top five. You're listening to the Inside Carolina podcast, a Scoop podcast brought to you by Johnny T-shirt and Blue Shark Vodka. Guys, remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on Apple and Spotify, and especially on YouTube. And we have a live stream coming up on December 15th, Wednesday, December 15th at 6:45, live from the Man Tower, the Inside Carolina 2022 National Sign Day live stream with myself, Don Callahan, and John Bowman. We'll be talking the 2022 class for 3, 4, 5 hours, a nonstop live stream on Inside Carolina's YouTube page. Okay, Don, good?
I am good. Let's get rolling because I am starving.
All right. And guys, remember, we're recording this on Sunday night. All right, top five. The top five recruits you are most excited about. We had a bunch of submits, so we're going to go through them all. We'll read them all, and we'll add in conversation. We probably have a lot of repeats, but it should be a good kind of glimpse into how our listeners think and what the UNC fandom thinks. All right, I'll start. Ready? All right, Ryan from Chapel Hill. We'll go in reverse order. Number 5, Sebastian Cheeks. Wow, I think Power and Rah-Rah will have great years, but they might not stay for 4 years. Sebastian should get some early reps and should be Gimmel 2.0 that we'll need once the defense turns over. 4, George Pettaway, running back George Pettaway. All-purpose back that fits Longo's system the best, should be an excellent player. 3, Travis Shaw. We need some big physical guys in trenches. We're going to compete with the Clemsons, Auburns, and Michigans of the national football scene. 2, Bo Atkinson. Big dude and should be able to set a solid edge. And 1, Amarion Hampton. I'm a big fan of downhill running backs. We miss having a punisher at running back this year, and I'm hoping he will fill that void in the coming years. All right, so Bo Atkinson in there, Sebastian Cheeks in there, a couple names from Ryan from Chapel Hill, one of our most loyal listeners. Don?
Yeah. So instead of us giving top five, do you want to just kind of give our thoughts on each one of these since we already talked about these guys a bunch anyway?
Yeah, we won't give ours.
Okay.
Let's give our own. Let's give our own.
All right, fine. All right. Yeah, I know.
We can talk about anything you want.
I like it. I like I didn't exclude Sebastian Cheeks on purpose. But I like the inclusion there. Big fan of all these guys. So yeah, so I like the list. So on to Noah from Korea, longtime submissioner. Submissioner, that's a word, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So, but he didn't put it in. No numbers. Is there numbers in Korea?
Jeez, no comment.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to go in the order that he presented it. Zach Rice, you win in the trenches. I wish I was wrong with my prediction. This year's O-line would be exposed, but we saw what happened when it was. I don't expect Rice to dominate as a freshman, but bringing in elite talent on the lines is what we'll need to make this rebuild sustainable. Travis Shaw, he may take even longer to pop than Rice. I think we'll see glimpses early because of his insane talent and physical skills. Omarion Hampton, I love Pettaway too, but call me Javante Lonely. Omarion's highlight reels are insane. Are you surprised? Because I'm going to give away a little bit more what my top five looks like, but I like electric running backs better than punishing running backs. And I grew up in Big Ten country. So are you electric running back like a George Pettaway, or are you like a punishing guy running people over like a Omarion Hampton?
I think the open field guy. It's hard. You like both. You want thunder and lightning. It's hard to pick.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Sebastian Cheeks. Another Sebastian Cheeks. Maybe we're wrong here. Next best thing to dominant on the offensive line, elite linebacker play. This one makes me a little nervous just because it's a bit of an unconventional recruit. I was shocked when we landed him. Hope he gets a lot of run early and feels at home in Chapel Hill. And the last one, Deuce Caldwell. I love those guys who just go all in immediately on recruiting more guys to Chapel Hill. Reminds me of how Armando is the basketball player.
Armando Bacot.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it wrong. Yeah. Don't ask me. Yeah, don't ask me basketball questions.
We're gonna watch the basketball game together on Tuesday night.
We are.
In the Man Tower.
And I'm gonna pay attention.
There you
go. Committed and immediately started getting in other guys' ears. Not every recruit has to be a freshman All-American. We need program builders.
All right. That was a lot of reading for Don.
It was.
All right. I'll say a couple things about this. Obviously, Armand Hampton and George Pettaway are going to get a lot of pub because I think they're two just, massive gets and big-time players. With Travis Shaw, there's a line about him, glimpses early. I really wish Travis Shaw was enrolling early. I think he is.
Yeah, that changed. Yeah, that changed a couple weeks ago. Yep.
Breaking news.
I guess.
So are there 10 early enrollees?
No, it was 9.
So who got kicked out?
Not kicked out, but I didn't get details. But Tion Holloway is no longer expected to enroll early.
Okay. Well, this is news to me. Okay.
I should have told you.
We have an early enrollee story running tomorrow morning.
Do we? Better make sure you change that up.
It's with some Mac Brown quotes that he mentioned. So, okay. Well, that's great news. Yeah, I think Travis Shaw, he has a frame. He just needs a couple months in a strength conditioning program. He'll get 6+ months now. So I think it's huge. And with Zach Rice, I just really hope he can be a dominant left tackle for 2-3 years for UNC. They need that. They just need an elite tackle because they haven't had that in a long time, and that can really change your program and change your team. Okay. John from Lynchburg, Virginia, the home of Zach Rice. All right, 5, Travis Shaw, because he's a badass. 4, Tyshawn Chapman. He's from the same high school as Percy Harvin, so he's awesome. 3, Tion Holloway. I like Chapman. He's from the 757, and obviously he'll be amazing. 2, Zach Rice. I live in Lynchburg, but work in Charlottesville. I will enjoy rubbing his UNC commitment in with all my UVA coworkers for years. And Andre Green. After listening to his dad on the Scoop podcast, I'm pumped.
All right. We got a lot of first-time submissioners.
Todd from Cary.
And Todd from Cary is one of them.
Welcome, Todd.
Welcome, Todd. So number 5, Pettaway / Hampton. So he didn't make the decision. He just went, I guess, very diplomatic. Can't decide between the two. With Chandler moving on, running back is wide open. One or both could contribute next year. Number 5, Travis Shaw. Have to include a guy who can stuff the run and allow other guys to do work. Number 3, Malachi Hamrick. This year's team struggled getting after the QB, so studs on the edge are huge gets. And number 2, Andre Green. Big play, tall wide receiver is critical. Wide receiver recruiting has to improve. Number 1, Zach Rice. Offensive line has to improve. And then honorable mention goes to Deuce.
So he got 7 people in. Honorable mention, he wrote phenomenal name. He's been such a social media presence for UNC.
I love the fact, and I don't, this is what I hope happens, but I have no control over it because I don't know what direction you're going to go. But somehow you always have to read Preston from Greensboro. And it just happens that way. So this is great. So I can't wait for you to read this. There
you go. I'll add a bit of commentary here and there on each guy. What stood out about Hamrick is that he said this team struggled getting after the quarterback. So having studs on the edge are huge. I think, what UNC did, they're signing 3 edge rushers. So you're kind of hoping like one hits, Hamrick, Bo Atkinson, and Jennings. If 2 of the 3 are studs and get to the quarterback, that's good. You're throwing a lot of, logs of fire, hoping one catches. Getting the quarterback is massive in football these days. All right, Preston from Greensboro. I met him this year. I think I met him the same game I met Andre Green and Mr. Green. All right, 5, Tyshawn Chapman. He was the first commit. I love stealing the Virginia guys. Jennings, Don thinks he's underrated. He's a Virginia Tech legacy. 3, Marcus Allen. Move him to running back with that name. Destroyed Washington in the Super Bowl. Okay, so it's an NFL reference. Kind of unrelated there. 2, Deuce Caldwell. How can you not put a guy named Deuce at 2? Also a great help in recruiting.
That's a very great point.
Yeah.
Why didn't
you explain that joke?
I don't know if I'm allowed to.
All right, and number 1, Andre Green. Hopefully, he can give Ross some tips on his hair. I'm going to go on a limb and say Andre Green and I have very different types of hair.
All right, Thomas from Thomasville. You think that's made up?
We did get a lot of submits, didn't we?
Yeah, so we're not going to read all of this up. But you think, that's like me saying I'm from Donsville.
That's right.
Anyway, all right. First time, long time. Let's go. I'm just going to read this real quick. Number 5, Tion Holloway. This kid is a stud. Number 4, Zach Rice. You got to be kidding me, man. Big Nasty is a heel. Number 3, Andre Green. Now we are getting to the immediate impact. Number 2, Malachi Hamrick. I'm shooting my shot, fellas. Hamrick is a tackling machine with a never-ending motor and the taste of blood for the quarterback. Just get the feeling he will be the Ruck, the butcher. Every time you put him on the field, he will be making a play. And number 1, George freaking Pettaway. I was tempted to go with Hampton here because I think they are both future pros. Pettaway's work ethic, drive, and overall skill set just screams, give me the ball, and cut from the same cloth as Carter, Logan, and Chandler.
All right. Thomas from Thomasville, thanks for submission. You're quite the writer, quite the wordsmith. All right. Ben from Salt Lake, Utah. All right, we'll start from the bottom. Zach Rice. Let's see if I'm kind of breeze through this. All right, number 4, Bo Atkinson. He gets Aiden Hutchinson vibes, the Michigan defensive tackle. Ooh. A motor that doesn't stop. Important piece of your defense. Rubs off on others. Must needed attribute on our defensive line. George Pettaway, different type of back than the other guys. Hampton is somewhat similar to Hood and Edmonds, maybe even British Brooks and Javante. But he loves his ability to catch out of the backfield and his work ethic and leadership. Travis Shaw, how can you not be excited about him? In-state stud, second best athlete ever from his high school. Looking at you, Ross. Has some time to learn behind the guys we have now. We're also transforming his body with Coach Hess. Hopefully get some spot minutes in year 1 and some cleanup duty. and one Andre Green Jr. Even more hyped after listening to his dad on the podcast. Wish he was an early enrollee. I think he's a total game changer, and not just on the outside. Will be extremely important deep threat, but also a great blocker from the looks of it. Incredible piece to use as a decoy sometimes, as well as to open things up. Should be super important to the development of Jacoby. He wrote Dracoby Mayswell in the next year's combination of the two quarterbacks, Jacoby Mayswell.
All right. Was that another? Okay, yeah, that's another first time.
I think we might have had one thing from Ben before. I'm not sure though.
Well,
I'm not sure.
Ben and Tom from Thomasville. We want more.
That's right. Great writers.
And we need Ross to move to Rossville.
That's right.
All right. Dale from Waxhaw might be our longest, most frequent submitter. Number 5, Deuce Caldwell, the next great will linebacker at UNC. Number 4, Andre Green, big play outside receiver that this offense sorely needs. Number 3, Bo Atkinson, not as highly rated as others, but has the size and motor you can't teach. Number 2, Travis Shaw, one of the highest rated recruits ever at UNC and helps to continue transforming the D. And number 1, Zach Rice. The one area Mack and company have not brought in super high-level talent is O-line. Rice changes that and hopefully opens the floodgates for future years.
Yeah, it's huge how great they did getting Zach Rice and Travis Shaw, the number 1 player from Virginia and from North Carolina. Just 2 massive recruitments with Alabama and Clemson and Georgia and Ohio State and Notre Dame, and UNC got both of them. Those were 2 huge gets.
Hey, all so right. You know that your podcast has hit big time when you get a submission from a guy named Slim.
Yeah,
right?
Next guy.
This is a milestone for us.
Slim from New Bern. What a name. First time submitter. All right. Welcome, Slim, to the pod.
Slim.
Okay. He has a little comment at the end. I'll read at the end. All right. 5, Zach Rice. I know Jason Staples said O-line is the hardest to break through playing time until a couple years. If anyone could, it's Zach Rice. George Pettaway, same as Amarion. I really think they could be a great 1-2 punch. Amarion Hampton. With Ty Chandler gone, it's going to leave a great. What are you laughing at?
Well, you'll see. just go ahead. It's not about what you're reading. It's not. You might want to. You want to read the next one too?
Why? There's 2 left. Oh, I see. All right. Jeez. All right. Amarion Hampton. 2. Sorry, Slim. We interrupted your line here. 2, Travis Shaw. I'm so excited to see Miles Murphy and Travis Shaw blow up the O-line next year. That's 2 3-3-6 defensive linemen. And Andre Green. He really has a chance to impact the team from day one. Just awesome talent and a great kid. Andre Green is flown up the list because of our podcast interview. All right, here's a line from Slim, first-time submitter. Just wanted to say I look forward to you and Ross Martin on the Scoop podcast. It's my favorite part of Inside Carolina podcast is listening to you guys, presented by Blue Shark Vodka. Thanks for all the hard work you guys do. It's very appreciated. Thank you, Slim.
That's awesome, Slim. So we really pushed for submissions, and you guys came through. I mean, hats off to you guys. A lot of new submitters.
Clap it up. Yeah. Clap it up.
And I don't know if this person's real or not, but you're muted, I think.
No, you got it.
You said you're going to read it.
You got it.
Oh, God.
It's your turn.
All right.
Jeez, get a hold of yourself, man. You're a 45-year-old man.
I'm not 45.
How old are you?
All right. 40.
Are you really? God.
We had this. This was part of a podcast.
5 years apart.
Anyway.
You know what's scary? Scary knowing you're closer to 50 than you are 20.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 35.
That's crazy. That's crazy, Ross. We're going to die soon, Ross. All right. Gert from...
If you watch on YouTube, you got to watch on YouTube. Don's losing it.
From Booker. Look this up. Is this real? Burger Hole. Burger Hole, West Virginia. I'm getting text messages.
Oh my God.
All right. Number 5.
Read the whole thing again. Read the whole thing again.
Gert from Booger Hole, West Virginia.
Okay.
Is this a real town?
I don't think so. And we're going to look like an idiot if we Google it. All right, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Number 5, Andre Green Jr. would be higher if early enrolling. Get off-season workouts in spring under belt to showcase why he should be in rotation come fall. He says the rest are early enrollees. Number 4, Conor Hale, scenario where Jacoby or Drake transfer and the loss of Sam leaves door open to come in and earn QB number 2. I kind of feel like I could definitely see one, the loser of the battle transferring, but I feel like it would be hard to see both of them transfer, right?
Yeah. For some reason, I think Conor Hale is gonna have a good UNC career. I don't know why. I don't know why I think that. He seems just like a winner, just a gamer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, he's an underrated guy. Didn't a lot of the local schools didn't really recruit him, and they recruited him, but they didn't offer him. So yeah. Number 3, Travis Shaw, great offseason workouts in spring, get him into the rotation on the D line. Number 2, Zach Rice, same as Shaw, but more chance of impact if he can showcase why he should see significant playing time. And number 1, George Pettaway, explosive playmaker to step in with workhorse backs currently on roster.
All right, good stuff. That wraps up the top 5. Thanks for all submitted. Booger Hole is a place in West Virginia. It's an unincorporated community in northern Clay County, West Virginia, in the Rust Fork Valley. So whether or not our man's from there, Gert, whether that's a real name, I don't know if that's a real name either. But Booger Hole is a real place. Okay. Don, anything else to add?
No. Are we going to do our 5 or no?
Yep, let's do our 5. Sorry.
All right.
Almost got here too early. This is a long podcast.
It is a long podcast.
Go ahead. You go first.
All right. So my 5. Marcus Allen. I mentioned the fact I feel like he's going to be a stud, underrated guy, super long, great. I think he's going to be, NFL draft pick at some point. Malachi Hamrick, same sort of situation. I think it's going to take him a little longer to see the field just because he really needs to add weight. But explosive playmaker, can do a lot of different things in the front 7. So I'm excited to see him. Just in the state championship, just seeing how explosive he is great. Travis Shaw. I mean, I've seen him in games, seeing his film. I love big, dominating defensive linemen. I think the best thing to see is just huge. Like Jordan Davis, this huge defensive lineman just running down a quarterback, and basically the quarterback, running for his life is one of my favorite things to see in football. Number 2, George Pettaway. I'm the type I like electric running backs, and I think he's a guy who can make a lot of things happen in the open field, could do a lot of different things with him. And number 1, and this is not just because Andre Green Sr. listens to our podcast, but Andre Green, he's another guy. Throw him on the film is a joy to watch. And I think that highlight film mentality or playmaking ability, I should say, is going to translate on for North Carolina and will fit beautifully within its offense.
Okay, great. Good list there. Go through them again. Go through your list again.
Oh, so number 1, Andre Green. Number 2, George Pettaway. Number 3, Travis Shaw. Number 4, Malachi Hamrick. And number 5, Marcus Allen.
Oh, Marcus Allen. Okay, cool. All right, mine's purely, front runner, top guys in the class. Number 5, Zach Rice. I really hope he hits. I hope he's successful at left tackle for UNC. Just a big recruiting win for UNC. Number 4, Martin Hampton, power back, in-state guy. Good recruiting win to get him. I think he can have a good college career. George Pettaway, another running back. Like everyone's talked about, an electric guy. Love talking with him. Catch the ball in the backfield, big play potential. Having a strong running game is key for success in college. Andre Green, number 2, same thing. I think he have an early impact, dynamic wide receiver, game breaking speed. Could do everything at the wide receiver position. And no surprise here, number one in my top 5 from Grimsley High School in Greensboro, North Carolina. Followed his recruitment for like 3 years, watched him play basketball. 6'5", 330 plus, Travis Shaw. I just hope he's a stud in college, has all the skills, all the physical traits, and I hope everything comes together for him. He can have a big time career and be a big time NFL player from UNC. All right.
Love the list.
Okay,
and
good stuff.
About the live show.
That's right. All right. We want to thank our sponsors, Johnny T-Shirt and Blue Shark Vodka. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps the Inside Carolina podcast. We appreciate you listening to this special 2022 National Signing Day preview podcast. Remember, on Wednesday, we are doing a live stream. It's myself, Don, and John Bowman, live from the Man Tower at Don's house. We'll be talking this class, a lot of the same stuff, but a lot more freedom and a lot more time to talk. So we'll surely get off topic. We'll do a lot of team stuff too. And we'll talk transfers. We'll talk UNC coaching, UNC football, and of course the 2022 signing class. That is Wednesday at 6:45 on Inside Carolina's YouTube page. But certainly check out Inside Carolina. All of it will be there. Anything else, Don? You good?
I'm good. I'm hungry.
Okay. Let's get out of here, guys. We appreciate you listening.